Okay, vámonos. Let's try this again. So basically, I'm just going to run through how to set up your loadouts and sort of the way to go about thinking about the weapons and the attachments you're going to use on it. A couple of people have asked me about this, so I just figured, fuck it, let's just make this video and then I can just refer to this. Okay, so let's jump straight into the loadouts. As you can see, it's quite well organized. Thank you very much. The top half of the classes, just over half, are all my Warzone classes, and you can see it's marked with OK for overkill. What you're going to see is basically a lot of these classes are very similar with some small changes because there is a meta to the game. As you can see, all of these classes are running EOD, overkill, and amped, and they're using C4 and a heartbeat sensor. The only differences are the weapons themselves, and the reason they are set up this way is because these will be my CQM, close quarters, and mid classes. So this will sort of follow the meta of having a scoped AR for those mid and long range engagements, and then a weapon for a close range engagements, so like a submachine gun or maybe even the FAL as it stands right now. Um, and then here we have sort of the sniper classes, whereby I have a sniper covering the long range, and then I have to find a weapon that covers both mid-range and close quarters, which is a bit tougher than you would expect it to be. But that's a trade-off for running a sniper class where you can really just shoot people from so far away and have the potential to hit a headshot and down a fully plated opponent. You know, that's the trade-off you have to decide is worth it for you or not. So we'll start at the top. Again, all these classes are exactly the same except for the primary. So we'll just show you the secondary ones, and you can assume that they're all the same for the other classes. Something else you may notice, the guns have the same camo for the classes. And the reason I do this is because of this bottom half, or these bottom four classes, are my ghost classes. So as you can see, the only difference between, this bottom half and this top half here is that instead of overkill, I'm now running ghost. I'm also running stun grenades. The reason being that I also like to play multiplayer, so these four classes are always usable in multiplayer as well as in Warzone. Um, and when I pick up this class, it will be at the second loadout drop anyways in Warzone, and so I will just pick up my heartbeat sensor again. So talking about those camos, the reason being is that all of these ghost classes have very simple gray or black camos on them. And the reason I do that is so that when I'm running around, if I see that both of my guns have the same camo, I know I haven't picked up my ghost class yet. I know, you can just keep track of that yourself, but just remembering it or not. But sometimes you have hectic matches. Sometimes, you're dying, going to the log, or being rezzed or whatever, and it can be easy to lose track of that, whether or not you've hit the second loadout drop yet. So this is just a good way, in my opinion, of doing that. Just keeping track of it. So if I pick up this class first, and then I go and pick up my Ghost MP5 class, which is, by the way, the exact same MP5 setup as these four, I'll know that I'm carrying a gray MP5 and a red Bruin. I'll know that, I've already picked up my ghost class. But anyways, that's just a little thing. You can, of course, just remember your camos or whatever, but this is just how I do it. So these four classes are probably my most used classes. I'm not the best sniper, although I like to dick around with sniping a little bit. I think it's super fun in Warzone especially, and now there's 3 viable snipers to use depending on what you like. And same with the AR slash LMG category. It's quite wide open, it's not just a growl anymore. Up here, I start with my meta class, and the reason I do that is because if I go to a loadout drop, I want to be able to just hold square, in my case, because I'm playing on PlayStation. I'll hold square and then immediately press X, and I'll have my loadout. I'll have a loadout that's going to be good, that's, the current meta or whatever it is, just so I know that I'm not accidentally grabbing the wrong weapons and screwing myself over. So that's why I keep it at the top. It's the easiest to get to. Again, the MP5 is the same for all of these. We'll just quickly go over that. It's a pretty standard loadout. The monolithic integral suppressor. Again, one of these long-range barrels. You want to focus on that, adding bullet velocity and damage range. And it's got a built-in sound suppressor. It is flat out better than the monolithic suppressor. That's been proven. Merc foregrip. Rule of thumb is that SMGs tend to be better with Merc foregrips, and ARs tend to be better with Commando foregrip. Keyword being keywords being tend to be, obviously, you know, there are some exceptions, but this is the rule of thumb. You want a big mag because it's Warzone. You know, you just want to try to carry the hand without, you know, being as detrimental to your aim down sight speed as possible. Stipple grip tape so I can ADS faster. Some people might run the F-Tech collapsible. It did catch a bit of a nerf. I don't think it's, you know, bad. I think it's very usable. I just prefer a little more stability rather than the movement, but it's definitely an option. And then sleight of hand, because the M specifically has, in my opinion, a bit of load, especially when you're in those, you know, in those situations where you're all in a building and you're just trying to quickly get your reload off just in case a guy comes around the corner from the next room or whatever. So this is the MP5. It's the same for all these classes, and the only thing that basically switches between these classes is the primary. But there are rules that carry over between them. One of those being the monolithic suppressor is fucking amazing. It adds damage range as well as suppressing your sound so you don't show up on the minimap. But another thing is that it adds bullet velocity. It doesn't say that in the stats. In general, don't trust the stats. The game really messed that up somehow. Most of the time you'll find out what are best attachments for what guns through hearsay, through content creators, through fellow players, whatever, you know, just and through trying it yourself, of course. But anyways, the monolithic suppressor, that's going to be on most of these guns. Usually, as well, another rule of thumb is you want to go for the longest barrel for Warzone. In this case, the longest barrel has such minuscule advantages over the second longest barrel, but has quite big disadvantages that I personally went with this. I went with the Commando foregrip to make it a bit more stable. 60 round mag, because this is an LMG. You want to be able to sort of use it as an AR. This is basically into an AR. And then lastly, the VOK 3 times optic. This is also something you'll see on most of my guns. The reason being that, once again, even though it says it's only a zoom level that you get from it, there's also recoil control. There's a hidden sort of mechanic, I suppose, that helps with recoil. So again, I don't know why that's not mentioned. I guess that makes it too clear that it's better than a lot of these other ones, but it is the best for mid-range / long-range scope. I would definitely suggest this one. Again, on to the next class. These are all the same. You'll see there's a trend. You know, in this case, I'm using a Grau, another great AR right now, especially for long range because it's quite accurate. And it's the same, you know, the same rules as the Bruin. Monolithic suppressor, the longest barrel, Commando foregrip. Remember that rule of thumb for ARs. The Commando foregrips tend to be better than other grips. 60 round mag, because you'll be, you know, sitting far back or a bit further away, let's say, so you don't really need to ADS as fast as you can, so you can forego the 50 round mags and go straight for the 60. And again, that VOK, just to make it even more accurate, even easier to control at long range, and therefore it will cover the mid range and long range, while this MP5 covers the close quarters and, you know, building, clearing, and etc. Again, same perks and everything. Same for the Kilo. Monolithic, longest barrel, Commando, 60, and the VOK. And it's just basically also a nice way to sort of directly compare weapons. You know, they all feel a little bit different, so any of these are really viable. You just pick whatever you like. You know, that's not for me to say. You enjoy the game as you want to enjoy the game. I'm just letting you know sort of what the quote-unquote meta is. Yeah. Again, here M13, same thing, monolithic, longest barrel, Commando, 60 rounds, and a VLK. The M13 hits a little bit, is not as damaging as the other weapons, specifically the Kilo. However, it's probably the most accurate of the three, you know, so depending on what you like. Do you want a super accurate gun that's going to trade off a bit of damage? Do you want one that, you know, hits harder, but is maybe a little bit more difficult to control? That's up to you. But I run the M13 just for a bit of variety. You can also do the same thing with the M4, you know, and do the same thing, long barrel, monolithic, yada yada. Now, I have two sniper classes here. I'm not the best sniper, but they're fun, you know. The thing with the snipers are, you can use whatever you want, the Kar98, the AX50, or the HDR. I prefer the AX50 because it sort of sits in between the two, you know. The HDR is probably the easiest to use, but it's also the heaviest, so there's that trade-off. The thing with the snipers is they're absolutely awesome, and in Warzone it's really fun sniping, and if you hit a headshot with any of them, it's an immediate down on players with full plates, full health. The trade-off being snipers are only good at long range, so that means that your other gun has to be something that can cover mid-range and close range. So that does limit options a little bit. I think the M4, personally, it's my favorite gun in the game. It's a proper jack of all trades. Can do anything. I use, instead of the longest barrel, the second longest barrel, just so it's a bit more mobile. But I still get that boosted damage range and bullet velocity. 50 round mag, so it's a little lighter, and again for mobility, than the 60 round mag. And a stipple grip tape, so I can aim down sights fast. And what this means is that because it's naturally an AR, it's going to be good at mid-range, but because these attachments are sort of set up to make you aim down sights faster, it's gonna make me be able to use it at close range as well, because this is only for long range, right? And now sort of the same idea happens here with the MP7. You know, it's an SMG, so naturally it's good at close range, but if you put the right attachments on there, and the MP7 is probably one of the most accurate SMGs in the game, you can use it at mid-range. You know, so again, the longest barrel, monolithic, Merc 4 grip, because SMGs tend to be with more 4 grips, right, as we mentioned, 60 round mag, and a stipple grip tape. The 60 round mag, you could put a 50. I just think it's an SMG, it aims down sights so quick already, you can forego the 50 and go straight for the 60, and get that extra 10 bullets in, which could really, you know, save your life. It might down another player, you never know. And with that stipple grip tape, you're already aiming down sights fast enough, it's no problem. Now down here, I have my ghost classes, and again, they're all grayed out, so I can immediately tell that what I'm using. And the only difference is, I've changed overkill to ghost, and I'm running stun grenades. I think stun grenades are better than flash grenades. I use a pistol in the back, just for mobility. You could throw an RPG on there, you know, whatever you like. And basically, I'll pick up one of these classes first, and then I'll pick up one of these bottom 4 from the second loadout to get my ghost perk, and then I just pick up my old gear from the ground, you know, as it drops. So yeah, that's basically the idea. You want to go down one of two paths: an accurate mid to long range scoped AR paired with a close range weapon, so usually an SMG. In this case, probably the best SMG is the MP5 still. Or if you're going to go for a sniper, you're going to have a bit of a tougher time because you will need to find a weapon that is good at close range and mid range, which there are only a few of, but you can definitely find them and set them up the right way. In general, there was some rules of thumb to follow, you know, what underbarrels or grips to use, long barrels to use. Definitely suppress everything. But you know, as long as you sort of meet the minimum requirements for making a gun good, you can play around with the attachments. You know, enjoy yourself. It's a video game after all. But yeah, I hope that helped out. Good luck. Good luck picking your classes. You know, obviously things will change with the meta, but I'm sure you'll all do fine. All right, GG's. Peace out.